Hi again. Welcome to another episode of the old 62. I was really on the fence about making this episode. One, because I've just been in a funk all day. It is like 2 hours before I'm supposed to post the video, so. And the person we're talking about, there's not much here. I'm not even sure about this guy. I'm not sure where this would go, where this should go. It's basically Superman all over again. But today we're talking about Hyperman. He first appeared in Action Comics 265 in 1960, and that was also his appearance of death. And it kind of tells why, and you have to make an assumption. But anyways, let's get into the history. Hyperman's story was similar to that of Superman's. Rocketed from the dying planet Zoran, he landed on the planet Oceania, which is a red link, so I'm guessing it's not been like kept up with. I don't blame them. It's an old story. He was adopted by the Kings. Like, that's their last name. His name is Chester King. So, I thought they were like the kings of this alien planet, but no. So he's like a normal guy, like Superman was. Developing superpowers, he began a crime-fighting career as Hyperboy. But, later on, as the comic progressed, he became Hyperman. Superman discovered that Hyperman was going to die from Zoranite poisoning. I'm guessing that's like chunks of Zoran, the planet he was from. So, yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't, but it makes comic book sense. So Superman sabotaged this guy's career so that he could marry his girlfriend, Lydia Long. That's not a ripoff at all. And live out his time in happiness. So it's very similar to Earth 2 Superman. It's very similar. They actually age. They get married. It's very similar. And the powers, it doesn't even list the powers. It says essentially identical to Superman's. Truly infinite power levels of flight, invulnerability, strength, and speed, faster than light, which were all based on his body's ability to absorb and process and store yellow sun radiation in some way to allow him to do these feats. Yeah, I don't think that that's Superman. There has to be a limit, because there are people that have destroyed Superman in like an instant. Darkseid, Mongol, the other Mongol, Composite Superman. They've all just wrecked Superman, at least on one occasion. So, I don't think, abilities. Physical abilities included heat vision, telescopic vision, microscopic vision, X-ray vision, super breath, super ventriloquism, and super hypnotism. But his weakness is Zoronite, and we don't really get a description of what it does to him, so I'm just assuming it's what happens with Superman and Kryptonite. So he's not like Mon-El, whereas he's like Superman, but he's a little different. At least the weakness of Mon-El is like wildly different. He's weak to lead, and if he gets lead poisoning, then he has lead poisoning. He doesn't like regain his strength and just become healthy when it gets kicked away. If he's exposed to lead, that's it for Mon-El. And that's pretty much what happened in the comics. But this guy, I'm assuming he's just like Superman and Kryptonite. So I don't know. I don't have much promise for this character. This is someone I found and had to replace with I had to replace someone else by him, because I found out the guy I was going to do this episode on was rebooted at some instance. And it kind of sucks because he was a really good character. And this guy is just... I mean, if we brought him back, it could be made interesting, but there's a chance that it'll be like this. I think if I wrote the story, you know what, yeah, maybe I'll stick him in my fan fiction when I get back around to working on the first book, which is actually somewhere in the second volume, because I didn't think. Instead of thinking of a beginning for my fanfiction, because I just couldn't. I tried, and and I was like, I don't know where to start. I started somewhere in the middle. I told things that were unexplained, and now this book that I'm basically making first is somewhere in the second volume. So Hyperman, I'll put him in my fanfiction, but I don't know, I know how to make him interesting, but I don't know if they could if he was brought back for canon stuff. He was brought back in a story based on an Elseworld story, but it wasn't Chester King. It was Jonathan Kent II. It was Superman and Wonder Woman's child. So Hyperman came back, but he wasn't Chester King. It was a different secret identity. So, a different alter ego. I'm starting to, like, piece together a plot now, because Hyperman and alter ego, they're both infinite, but we can fix that. We can make them finite capabilities and still very powerful. and what if they met? I'm going crazy with this one. There's a lot of people on this list that I want in my fanfiction, so, yeah, tell me what you think of this guy in the comments, and I need to get back to my story. Peace.